Do you know what I find interesting? Anyone? Nope. Exactly. Short-lived states. And I'm here in Vienna. I'm going to talk about a state that existed from 1918 till 1919, known as Republic of German-Austria. You want to know what that was all about? Keep watching. Hey, good to have you back on the channel, and if you're new, well, welcome to another series of summer videos where I went traveling last summer and covered a lot of history on location, and this here is the first one. If you find it interesting, then please consider subscribing and also hit the notification bell. The Republic of German-Austria was the first Austrian state that emerged after the First World War. Before that, there was Austro-Hungary. Austria formed together with Hungary the Austro-Hungarian Empire, aka the Dual Monarchy, since 1867. In Austro-Hungarian occupied Bosnia, in the city of Sarajevo, the Crown Prince Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in 1914, which was the direct cause for the outbreak of the First World War. The war caused severe food shortages towards the end of 1918, and the Allies were fighting a disintegrating army. Meanwhile, nationalist uprisings throughout the empire occurred. The Czech National Council in Prague declared an independent Czechoslovakia on October 28th. The next day, in Agrom, now Zagreb, the Croatian parliament declared Croatia and Dalmatia part of a sovereign state of Slovenes, Croats and Serbs. The Austrian port city of Fiume declared its own independence and demanded union with Italy. In Budapest, Count Karolyi, with Emperor Karl's agreement, severed ties between Hungary and Austria that were together since 1867, starting armistice negotiations with the French forces that had fought their way up to Serbia. In Vienna, forces demonstrated against the monarchy itself. Soldiers joined them as they demanded the proclamation of a republic. The Austrian Revolution happened fairly peaceful, as it had done in Germany. Officially, the emperor abdicated on November 11th, the same day as the armistice of the Allies and Germany went into effect. The next day, a provisional National Assembly proclaimed the Republic of German-Austria. Social Democrat Karl Renner was chosen as chancellor. Democrats celebrated the historical coincidence that the Republic of German-Austria, Deutsch-Österreich, had come to life almost exactly 70 years after Field Marshal Prince Bindishkiat's victory over the Viennese Revolution in 1848. Elections were held in February 1919, and a grand coalition was formed with the two main democratic parties. I'm talking about the Social Democratic Party and the Conservative Christian Social Party. In line with US President Woodrow Wilson's concept of self-determination, this republic claimed all German-speaking territories that once belonged to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, including parts of South Tyrol, Austrian Silesia, and the German-speaking territories in Bohemia. And they were even willing to go further than that. They wanted perhaps to unify with Germany. If many in German-Austria had hoped for Anschluss, the voluntary union with Austria with the German Reich, as a realization of liberal nationalist aspirations during the 1848 revolution, they were bitterly disappointed. The Austrians actually claimed more territory than they were in control of. And soon the Italians, the Czechoslovaks, as well as the Yugoslavs, they just marched in and took the territories for themselves. There was not always a lot of violence. Sometimes plebiscites were held to avoid bloodshed. But what we see in the period after the First World War is that there was a lot of trouble in Central and Eastern Europe. And this mostly had to do with the fact that these regions were really mixed. So therefore there were different nations claiming these territories for themselves. There was a conflict with the Slovenes over Carinthia, which lasted from the end of 1918 till the summer of 1919, which left over 100 people dead. Carinthia, with its ethnically mixed population of 150,000 Germans and Slovenes, was eventually awarded to German-Austria following a referendum in October 1920. But until then, the region saw considerable violence as resistance to Serbian and Slovene occupation flared up repeatedly. The German-Austrian Republic came to an end when the Treaty of Saint Germain was signed to make way for the First Austrian Republic. For Austria, this treaty was what the Versailles Treaty was for Germany, a big letdown. See, among the German-Austrian delegates in the National Assembly, there were also from South Tyrol, now Italy, Sudetenland, now Czech Republic, back then allocated to Czechoslovakia, and South Steiermarken, now Slovenia, back then allocated to the state of Slovenes, Croats and Serbs. These people weren't included in German-Austria. Czechoslovakia insisted on the historic borders of the lands of the Bohemian Crown. Thus, 3 million Germans became Czech-Slovak citizens. Italy occupied and was awarded Trentino and South Tyrol, of which South Tyrol is still majority German-speaking. The by now Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes, later Yugoslavia, was given parts of Carinthia and Styria. The Klagenfurt region was retained after a plebiscite on the 20th of October 1920, when 3/5 of the voters voted to remain with Austria. In the west of Hungary, with ethnic Germans living in it, known as Burgenland, that became part of a new Austria. But unification with Germany was definitely off the table since the Treaty of Versailles forbade that unification. Now eventually Austria and Germany became one in 1938, the so-called Anschluss. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was actually my last episode that I shot here on location during the summer of 2021, and it's the first you see right now. So I hope you enjoyed it. So give this video a like, consider becoming a Patreon or support me via PayPal. The links are in the description. And if you'd like to learn about Austria during World War II, I have a video for you. It's right here. Thank you so much for watching, and best wishes from Vienna, Austria.